What's going on, guys? Bravado here, and I am going to do a tournament VOD review of my most recent
Zero Build Duos Cash Cup.
In this video, I'm going to be going over good plays I've done with my teammate, mistakes I've made, and what I could have done differently. If you like this video, please give it a like, subscribe, and comment if you want to see more VOD review videos like this. In game 1, my duo and I decide to land at Lavish Lair to try to get a medallion for regeneration. But the mistake that we've made here is we try to full send the medallion even though there were still enemies nearby. Our plan was to just get the medallion as fast as we can just so we have an advantage on these off-spawn fights. But that's where we made the mistake. You should always clear out the POI that has a medallion, like get rid of all enemies before you go for the boss, because it's very likely that you will get third-partied, and that's what you will see in this clip. Another mistake I've made was I used a shotgun at like a somewhat medium range engagement. In that scenario, I should have used a rifle and or SMG, and I was been able to easily win that fight. So you always have to remember to use the right weapons at the right distance of engagements. Game 2, my duo and I decided to land at a non-POI location. We were able to loot up off the rip, but we were attacked by another team who was using EMP grenades against us. The mistake that I made in this situation is that we stayed near the same area where they're throwing the EMPs, and then we got hit by them for like 70 damage or something, and it gives them a huge advantage. What we should have done is fallen back to a different room to like set up a right shoulder peek or like set up an ambush for them, and we could have possibly reset the fight with those early opening tags. Game 3. I decided to land at Rizzy Rivera with my duo, but the mistake I made off the bat is that I went too low to the ground, and I got glider locked early, which resulted in me not being able to land with my duo. And if there was a team contesting at Rizzy Rivera, like my teammate could have easily went down because he'd been stuck in a 1v2 situation. And it would have been all my fault because I was not able to land with him because I did not keep my glider out long enough to ensure that I'll get to the POI with him.
Later in this game, my duo and I decide to push towards a radar tower. These radar towers, when captured, allows you to see the next storm circle for the rest of the game. This allows you to have a huge advantage when it comes to rotations. But it also comes at a risk because you may not be the only team going for it. So it is a risk, but in my opinion, it could be well worth the reward. Later on, my teammate and I were able to successfully rotate further into the end game, where we make another crucial mistake. There was a bush right in front of us, but we did not shoot the bush to check for campers. Even though we won this fight could have went horribly, horribly wrong, because these guys could have easily got the jump on us, ending our game. And soon after that fight, we were just ambushed by another team. I decided to use a bunker, which is really good for natural cover, but the thing is, I overpeaked and I got absolutely fried by this team, which resulted in me going down and my teammate being forced in a 1v2 situation, which we end up dying. In game 4, my duo and I were able to loot off spawn, and we decided to rotate to this building, and we have another team was nearby. The mistake I made in this fight was I pretty much took a 50-50 fight with no natural cover. Even though, yeah, I ended up beaming the guy and ended up killing him, this fight could have went either way. Even though, like, he was on high ground, yeah, but he was also on bad high ground as well. So, do not take 50-50 fights, and do not use bad high ground. Later on in the game, my duo and I found the solo and decided to W key him since we knew he would be at an absolute disadvantage with less firepower and no teammate to assist him during the fight. With good teamwork and aim, we were able to take out this opponent with ease. Later on in that game, my teammate was ambushed by a random player and he went down. And now I was in a 1v1 situation. I decided to take some shots behind natural cover when I'm fighting this opponent. But I also decided to check if he was on high ground or not. Knowing where he was, we traded shots for a little bit, and then I decided to go on the roof to hold high ground on him, where he absolutely played me because he threw a bunker and it destroyed the roof, and I was absolute shock on what happened. I eventually ended up going down because my aim was absolutely terrible. So in situations like these, just keep calm and just look at the enemy and just trust your hand-eye coordination. Game 4, my duo and I made it to the mid game where had to rotate into zone, where my teammate was attacked by another duo. So I decided to put pressure on that enemy team to cover my duo's rotation, which ended up working, and we were able to successfully rotate since they now had to heal. We made it to endgame, and I decided to throw a bunker on top of this hill because it was really good high ground and positioning to see the entire map and where all the enemy positions were. Holding this gave us a huge advantage in almost any fight, especially since we had great high ground and most enemies had to rotate towards us. My teammate then informed me that an enemy player was rushing towards our bunker, and we decided to punish this player by both focusing on that one player and allowing us to eliminate him very quickly. We saw another team down near the rocks, and we decided to take some shots at them, but we eventually disengaged because we did not know if there was enemy players that had snipers pointed at our heads. So, in situations like these, do not get tunnel vision focusing on an enemy. You may get punished by other players since they may headshot snipe you or just absolutely fry you and then they push up to your position. It is now a 2v2 situation, and me and my duo have the advantage temporarily since we all have to rotate. So we decided to take some shots in the enemy team, get some opening tags since we know that they're the last team. This really did pay off, but a mistake we made is we should have rotated earlier to get to the loop, like the pool of loot that was dropped by the enemy players. Since it had bunkers, they were able to use that against us. So, we should have done resource denial, which would have prevented them from accessing those bunkers and extra ammo to help them win the fight against us. In our last game, we were able to loot off spawn, but there was an enemy team that was contesting us. Since there was an enemy player out in the open, me and my duo decided to focus on that enemy, and we got him really weak, so we decided to push up since he was an isolated target. But he ended up running really far, and it was a real pain to eliminate him. Sometimes in situations like these, you really don't want to chase an enemy player that's gotten really far, because he may lead you to another team or bring you to his teammate, and then while you're focused on full charging that enemy, you may be getting shot by his teammate. We eventually made it to the end game where we decided to use our bunkers to set up a good position, where this team just absolutely out of nowhere decides to full on grief our bunkers, not once but twice. In a situation like this, you might as well try to put pressure on the enemy team to deter them from ever advancing towards your position. Since we didn't do this and decided to run away consistently, they thought we were really bad players and decided to push us, which was actually the right move, but if we returned more damage on them, they would have never dared of attacking us. So make sure you put pressure on the enemy team that is focusing you. Since this enemy team decided to full on W key us, and I was going to be in absolute shambles, we decided to just make a last ditch effort and just take on a team, just kill, just 50-50 a team and get their loot, and hopefully they have something good. This ended up backfiring, and we died. But even if we won that fight, that other team decided to key us as well. So either way, we would have been dead in this situation. Alright, to recap, make sure that you always land with your teammate. Do not take bad peeks / don't over peek. Focus on the same enemy with your teammate to take them out of the fight a lot faster. Radar towers are a risk, but also a high reward. Never ever take fights out in the open, and do not use bad high ground. It will get you killed. Always carry mobility and utility. It really helps out in the mid to end games and any fight you take. If necessary, it's okay to fall back and reposition if you need to heal or you want to set up a right shoulder peek. Communication is key with your teammate. Always communicate with your teammate for anything such as ammo, items, rotations, and what fights to take. Check bushes in the mid to end game for any campers, since they might get you killed. I hope this video helped y'all out to improve your gameplay and improve your tournament performances. This is my first VOD review, so let me know in the comments if there's anything I can change to make these VOD review videos better. But I'll see y'all in the next one. Peace.